Putri Sanawiyah, and the theme for our podcast today is about literacy for tourism industry. So today we have special guests. They are coming from Sriwijaya State Polytechnic. Please welcome Miss Anna. Hi. Miss Dita. Hi. Miss Rara. Hi. And also Miss Nyayu. Hi. Alright guys. Thank you very much for coming in my podcast. So I want to ask about what are your activities during this day?
Okay, so I'll go in first myself.
Yes.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Arabella Kaulika. You can call me Rara. I'm a student of Sriwijaya State Polytechnic, majoring in English department. As for what I have been doing these days, I have been focusing on my research on tourism industry and its correlation with the tourism. I hope to show you the best of my knowledge, so I hope this video can be informative to you guys. Please take care of it today.
Wow, that's really interesting. So you're working in research, right?
Yes.
And how about you, Miss Dita?
Well, I'm still having a part-time job doing my activities in my campus.
What kind of job?
I'm teaching in one of the institution in Almira.
Wow, so you manage your time when you're academic and
I'm
also
still trying to afford it.
That's really good. And how about you, Miss Sarah?
While studying, I also joined an organization.
What kind of organization?
English Development Society.
Wow, DBED.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to learn DBED. Perhaps in the future you can teach me.
Yes, sure, why not?
Okay, and how about you, Miss Nyayu?
Hi guys, my name is Nyayu from Aprilia. So my current activity, I study at Studying College of Polytechnic in Sriwijaya, and I also help my parents in my house, and then I as a graphic designer, and also I join organization of Polytechnic in Sriwijaya.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I heard that you are studying in English department, right? And I also heard that you not only learn about English but also hospitality and tourism industry. So as a tourism student, I want to ask about your opinion about what is the definition of tourism itself in your mind. Start from you, Miss Anna.
Okay, so in my opinion, the tourism industry is defined as an industry which supports the commercialization of cities and occasion to places or objects of interest. The places of interest that are commercialized would probably have some attractive qualities or values to them that are considered attractive by the public. It can be cultural value, historical, or even the facilities and cultural attraction. It's something that promotes the beauty or the history of others.
Alright, and how about you?
Okay, so when we're talking about tourism, I think that tourism is about people and also travel, accommodation, and also places for us to stay, whether it is in a city or in another country. Then for the purpose of the tourism itself, I think it is for the leisure purposes or maybe business purposes. That's all.
And how about you, Miss Sarah?
In my opinion, tourism is combining the activity that involves like cultural, economic, and also historical, and the actor that relates to the sector is local people inside the tourist job, and also the tourists. So they are doing like transaction, gathering information and etc. that is after, I guess.
Very good. And how about you, Miss Nyayu? What is the definition of tourism in your mind?
Tourism, according to me, based on that I have read in several articles, tourism is travel for pleasure, for business, also the theory and practice of touring, the business of attracting, accommodating, and entertaining tourists, and the business of operating tours. That's all.
So I agree with all of you. So I define that it's the tourism itself as like the place for us to have leisure and others. So the theme for our podcast today is about literacy. So I define literacy itself as the ability for speaking, writing, listening, and reading that help us to communicate with everything and connect with everyone in this world. So I want to ask Dita about your opinion related to how important the literacy itself to tourism industry. Perhaps Ms. Nyayu, you can give your opinion about that.
Okay, so I think the iteration for tourism has been created since before we can start it around a tourism industry. Moreover, to develop the tourism industry, we also need broad to literation, because by doing this literacy, one of the first major steps will run the develop the tourism industry, and especially the city of Palembang. And we can understand from my previous words, it means that literacy is very important to run the tourism industry, both from the owner and his visitors.
Alright. And how about you, Ms.
I guess so in Nyayu, I also think literacy is so important in this tourism sector, because when the tourist itself want to visit the tourist attraction, they have to know first what kind of the place that they visit, and also for the local tourism, they can increase the tourism if they also learn many things from their place. For example, like they read the books of that places, and also they also listen many story from that place and etc. So it's really important, I guess.
Alright. And how about you, Ms. Dita?
Okay, so for me, I have a bit different definition about literacy tourism. So for me, literacy tourism, when we talk about literacy, it will be, everybody will think that literacy connect with reading, writing, and something like that, or maybe you can say that it connect with the text, right? So when we are talking about text, I think it will also connect with the word information. So I know that information is one of the important elements. So when you ask me, is it important? Of course, it's important. So tourism industry needs everyone in this sector needs read many information. Because why? Because it will cover the image destination, and also the location of the tourism itself, and also the prices, and the other one is the services. That's all.
And how about you, Ms.
First of all, I think literacy as not only the ability to read or write something, but also the ability to filter the information provided and the ability to apply it in real life. So that means literate people are not only people who can read, but also those who know how to apply it in their daily life. As for how important it is in the tourism industry, as we all know, the tourism industry heavily relies on literary sources. They use, as we know, when we go to tourism destinations, they usually provide information, right? When they are not telling you, they usually offer part or portrait information and guidelines on them. It actually depends on the ability of the tourists to interpret the information and instruction given. If they cannot distinguish the intention behind the writing, then it can be considered as a sign that the literacy rate of the tourists is low, which means the effectivity of the tourism itself is not up to standard. That's why it's important.
So all of you have your own opinion about the tourism itself, but I can take the point in that all of you also agree the literacy itself is really important, especially in tourism industry, because it's connected information that provided in the tourism destination, right? So I want to ask about, do you know what you know about the literacy rate in Indonesia? Maybe one of you can get it. Yes.
I'm volunteering myself to answer this. As far as I know, in a journal article, it is mentioned that as of 2016, Indonesia ranked the second to last, 60 out of 61 countries in terms of rating interest, passing only Botswana. I don't know the exact reason behind this, but it means that Indonesia is also the lowest in terms of reading interest in Southeast Asia.
So from your answer that confirm that the literacy rate in Indonesia is very low, right?
Yes.
So I want to ask about what are the factors that can make it happen? Perhaps yes, you can give your opinion about the factors behind it.
So, as I said, it happened because our society still lacks understanding about tourism in Indonesia. And yes, in fact, there is not much interest in tourism. So, and for example, in the city of Palembang, because the tourist attractions are few and less attractive, and the facilities are inadequate, and maybe that's the main factor that they are lazy to visit to tourism attractions in Palembang.
Alright. And how about you, Miss?
Actually, there are four factors that involve this kind of rate. The first one is the awareness or the interest from the society. So they didn't know well why they should learn about literacy and what kind of goal that they can achieve from that. And the second is from the supply itself. You need to know that the supply from book itself in our countries is really less from the standard. And the second, I guess, is from the academic of people. Although the supply is high, but if the people didn't have much money for buying the books and etc., they also cannot survive or do this kind of literacy things. And the fourth is the educational, I guess.
How about you, Miss?
Okay, so I think my opinion is almost same like others. So I'm just going to add some points. So I think some factors that happens in this problem. So first of all, it's because the lowest educational in Indonesia. The second is the lack of production of the books. Yeah, so because of the production of the book is still low, so it makes the books expensive. So many people still thinking about it when they want to buy a book. Then the third one is because no habits of Indonesian people in trading books.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. So from your answer, I can take the point that there are some factors that make the literacy rate in Indonesia is very low, such as the lack of interest, the lack of awareness itself about the literacy, and then the lack of education in Indonesia, and also the infrastructure and also the number of the books that's still minimum in Indonesia. As you know that Indonesia is still lacking of library, especially in remote area. So I want to ask you again about your opinion, what should be done to improve the literacy itself in Indonesia? Perhaps Miss Ara can give your opinion about what should be done.
Okay, so based on what I have read, according to the Indonesian Minister of Education, Nadiem Makarim, the cause of Indonesia experiencing literary crisis is due to a lack of reading culture among children. This is because there is very little involvement of parents. Well, girl parents is really pivotal in fulfilling children's expectations and literacy from an early age. Aside from the lack of reading interest in public, there are other factors like difficulties in accessing and difficulty and economic difficulties. So based on that, I suggest for parents and teachers to encourage children to read. In my school back then, there's this program where we have to read a book or a piece of paper for 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be particularly informative or heavy. You can read anything as long as you read something, then it can increase your literacy. On the other hand, I think it's nice if the Indonesia libraries can put some effort in innovating their books. And then as for the government, teachers and publishers, they they can join hands to publish books with more varied topics aside from ones that commonly cater to the mass. I mean, the most common genres found including Marcus Disney's or romance. Perhaps we can aim for some variations to that. Aside from romantic fiction, we can add some light knowledge with interesting covers that can be considered attractive by us.
Alright, and I agree with one of your point about the program, what the reading program. So we have also the same program in my senior high school. We call it as Zero Time, and it's time for us to read. And I found that it will really help us to increase our knowledge and then to share the information with our friends, right? So how about you, Miss Dita? What is your opinion about this?
Okay, so I think I have the same idea with Rara. So we need to have a kind of program, especially for reading. So everyone will having in this program, so try to have this habit. Then another one is like having an event or maybe exhibition event to sell a cheap book, so everyone can buy the cheap one. So not so because of the production of the book is still low, so it will make the book still expensive. But because of this event, we can people in Indonesia can buy this book because of this event.
So how about you, Miss Rara?
Maybe I can just some points. I think there are three things that we can do. The first one, of course, increase the awareness or increase the interest. So it should be started from the parents itself, so they can give the knowledge for having the habit of having the literacy. For example, like they give the storytelling from the book when the children in the early age, and also they are doing the good thing together to enjoy their life. In terms of the literacy, it can be so enjoying, The second, optimize the library, because you know that we are blessed of the supply, which is the book. So we have to optimize our library in school or even in our campus itself, because we also need the much knowledge from it. The third or the last one, build the community, the reading community, because it can improve our skills, but we are together joining in that community, so it can help us for having like the spirit to learn. So that's for me.
Alright, and how about you, Miss Nyayu?
Okay, and also I want to add the opinion from Rara, Ara, and Dita. So in my opinion, what the government should do in order to increase the tourism rental in Indonesia can be done by first improving the tourist attraction facilities and increasing the promotion of our countries and countries' tourism to other countries, and can also be supported in the form of moral from the Indonesian citizen themselves.
So from your answer, we can make the point that there's something that should be done, such as raising the awareness and then raising the habits, of course, and then the role of the parents is really important to teach their children since in early age, and increase or optimize the infrastructure such as build the community or build the library, especially in remote area. Alright, talking about the literacy itself, I want to ask you about what you know about the literary tourism in Indonesia. Perhaps a little bit can answer about it.
Okay, so based what I have known and the information that I have read, literary tourism is a cultural tourism which is connect with literacy activities or maybe some events or places that talking about writers, something like that.
Alright, and how about you, Dita? What do you know about the literary tourism?
As far as I know, there are two definitions of literary tourism. The first is the one that Dita has mentioned,
Alright.
which means a branch of tourism which promotes the importance of literary activities like reading and writing. And secondly, it is also defined as a branch of cultural tourism in which tourists are to visit places and events from literary texts or the lives of the authors themselves. For example, literary tourist destinations are places that are associated with a particular writer or novelist or even a character inside their work. For example, the author's home or backyard, the route taken by the character in the work, or even a museum built in honor of the author.
Wow, that's really interesting.
And if I should name an example, there's one literary tourist destination in Palembang, namely Kampung Literasi di Sanawiyah. I have never been there, but I heard it's good.
Oh, it sounds great, right? So perhaps we can visit that kind of tourism. And how about you, Miss Sarah? What do you know about literary tourism?
I think literary tourism can be community for the people who want to having much knowledge about literacy. So, for example, like what they have mentioned, I also have known this kind of tourism because when in Palembang itself, I saw the destination that relates to the literary when I passed in Pasar 26 area. So I saw when I passed that road. So I guess we can also visit there when we want to have much knowledge about literary.
Yes, of course. And then how about you, Miss Nyayu?
Honestly, I don't know clearly about this point, but I have read in several articles about this point. The literary tourism is broad in scope, including tourism literature, literary exploration in tourist objects, literary cultural tourism, tourism-based creative processes, and visiting creation-based tourism sites. And then readers will be invited to understand various theories of literary tourism in studies, and then methodological insights and various perspective and of literary tourism research.
Wow, that's really great. Alright, so we have discussed about the literary tourism. Now I want to ask you about halal tourism. Have you ever heard about halal tourism?
Yes.
Okay. So I define halal tourism as like something related to religious tourism destination. So here I want to ask about your opinion again related to the halal tourism itself. Yeah, you can give your opinion about the definition, or you can also give the example of that halal tourism destination. Perhaps this Dita, you can start it.
Okay, so halal tourism, like you said before, it's connected with religious tourism. Actually, I agree with you. So, based on information that I have read, so not only for religion, I mean like when we are talking about halal tourism, it will everyone will think that it is for Muslims only, but actually it is for non-Muslim also, because halal here means something allowed in Muslim, but the facilities of the tourism industry itself, of course, it can be for Muslim and also non-Muslim. And for example, but what we mean by halal here, when the tourism is applied the room prayer for the Muslims, and also selling food or drink which is halal for the Muslim. So it can be for Muslim and non-Muslim. And for example, we can find it in Palembang, like for example, like Chinko Mosque and also Kampung Al-Munawar and many others.
Wow, so it is universal.
Yeah.
So really, it's really really informative and really interesting. And how about you, Miss?
Just adding information from Dita. I have read about this kind of thing, halal tourism. I
also that Aceh is the best place for finding this kind of tourism. So maybe we can also do the same thing like Aceh, because like what have Dita mentioned, we have also providing many things that involve to this kind of sector. For example, also the Palembang supply. I mean, like the Palembang also provides like the Syariah hotel, which is really supporting for Muslim and also young models.
And how about you, Miss Nyayu? What do you know about the halal tourism?
Yeah, some like Dita and Rara. For in Indonesia, there are a lot of halal tourism to visit, especially for the city of Palembang, which I know namely Masjid Agung Palembang and Kampung Arab, Al-Munawar, and then for culinary tourists, halal in Palembang, such as Kampung Pempek, 26 Ilir.
For the location
In Masjid Agung Palembang is in 19 Ilir area, and then for Kampung Arab Al-Munawar is in 13 Ulu, and then for the halal culinary tourism is in 26 Ilir.
have you ever visited that kind of halal tourism in Indonesia?
Of course.
Yes, of course. Because in Palembang.
There are a lot of halal tourism
Yes.
in Palembang, right?
Yes.
So from your answer, I can get a new point, especially from Miss Dita, that we find the halal itself as something that like make us really comfort to come to that place. So it is the last question actually for all of you. As the young generation, right, as the next generation of Indonesia, so I want to ask about your opinion, your view, or your also what's your hope, especially for tourism or literacy in Indonesia itself. Start from Miss Ara. You can give your what's your hope.
As for my growth for the government of Indonesia, if any of you is listening to this podcast, I really hope that our government supports the campaign of increasing the literacy rate in Indonesia. I used to enjoy what is it called again, the zero time, as Putri has mentioned before. It actually increased a habit of reading movie, but as I grow up, I began to read less and less because institutions lately never really support their students to read unless it is necessary in courses. So I really hope that our government can join hands with publishers and release content.
It's really. And how about you, Miss Dita? What's your hope for Indonesia, especially for the tourism and literacy?
Okay, so I think I do hope that Indonesia can, especially in tourism sector, can be more valued and also will be more interesting, of course. And for the literacy, I do hope that Indonesian people can be more, having the awareness of reading or activity in literacy.
Yes, and of course, how about you, Miss Ara?
Hopefully, literacy and also like the tourism can increase massively in this country. So let's take part from this sector because we as a young generation should learn more and more for that. So don't give up on anything, especially that relates to our country.
And how about you, Miss Ara?
As a younger generation, so I hopefully tourism in Indonesia will develop even more and become more and more famous in foreign countries. And because for its natural tourism, Indonesia is quite extraordinary and which has a very nice view.
So, Aaron, that's the last question of our podcast for today. And for today, we can make the conclusion that literacy is really important, especially for tourism industry. And of course, all of us can take a part to improve the literacy itself, especially in Indonesia. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for all of you because you have shared your opinions and give new information for us. And see you in the next episode.